This is Keith Helwig from Cops Corrections Videos. I watched a video recently, and I'm sure many people are familiar with it, of an officer from Tennessee who was involved in the shooting of a woman of color. Now, I'm not offering my commentary as an expert. I'm merely offering my commentary as an observer. During the stop, which was made lawfully and legally, the officer ran the plate, and it came back. I believe there was a warrant out for the registered owner's arrest. Well, that's a reason for a legitimate stop. He pulled the car over, and there was a woman driving the car, obviously not the person subject of the arrest warrant. And I don't know for what reason, but he was searching the woman's purse. Well, this was going on. The woman was outside of the car. She was smoking a cigarette. She was walking around. I believe she may have been talking on the phone. I didn't pay that close of attention. However, at one point, the officer finds some contraband in the woman's purse. At that point, the woman grabbed the purse and ran around the front of the car and got back into the car. Now, the officer ordered the woman out of the car. She didn't come out of the car. He grabbed her arm and tried to pull her out. That didn't work. He used a taser, and you could see that the taser caused her pain, but it didn't incapacitate her. He applied a drive stun, and again, you could see it caused pain, but it didn't incapacitate her. The next series of events is basically horrific because she pulled a gun. The officer ordered her at least 3 or 4 times to drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun, and she shot him. Now, he was a large officer. I'd say he had to go 400 pounds, and he got hit under the vest. So, a lot of people want to say, well, he was too big to be a cop or whatever. To be honest with you, that's probably what saved him, because bullet had to penetrate a lot more. That's besides the point. The officer did shoot back and hit the woman. Now, the video ends as the woman is driving away, and I understand that she only got a few blocks before she died from the wounds from the officer that shot her. Now, I'm not here to second guess the officer's actions. I wasn't there. I don't know the exact situation. I'm just giving my opinion on a situation that I've seen happen all too often. And that is a situation where an officer relies on the taser to be the be-all and end-all. Recent studies have shown that taser usage is effective in 75% of the cases. That means 25% of the cases, it doesn't do any good. Now, I know in Wisconsin, I don't carry a taser in the winter, basically because anybody I'm shooting is going to have on a heavy jacket, they're going to have on insulated underwear. It's not going to work to shoot them with a taser. I've seen that borne out when we were arresting an individual who was wearing a heavy canvas jacket. My fellow officer shot him with a taser. It did absolutely no good at all except wasting a taser cartridge. And we ended up going hands-on and physically taking him down. I worked in a prison for the majority of my career. 36 years. For 23 of those 36 years, I was also a police officer. One thing that I found that works probably 99% of the time is OC. Now, I know at the prison, when we had somebody who refused to come out of their cell, we would introduce OC into that cell, and we would close the cell. They're not iron bars like you see on TV there. They're solid steel doors that have a food trap in them. We would close the food trap, and we would let them saute in the OC for a couple minutes. And probably 99 times out of 100, in less than a minute, they were begging us to take them out. I personally, as a police officer, I'm not going to reach into anybody's car to try to pull them out of the car. I'm not going to get into a physical confrontation with them while they're in their car. I've seen too many instances where that's happened, and the officer is dragged, the officer gets shot, the officer gets thrown off the vehicle and injured. It's just too risky to do it. My full intention, if it happens to me, is I will order the person out of the car. If it's legal and lawful for me to do so, I will order them out of the car. If they refuse, I'm going to explain their options to them. It may be in a loud tone of voice, it may be an argumentative tone of voice, and I'm probably going to hit them with some OC. Now, even if there's other passengers in the car, the OC is going to hit them, but it's not permanent. It's something that's going to hurt for a while, but it's not permanent. And I would be willing to bet that in the vast majority of cases, that individual is going to give up on the spot. They're going to come out of that vehicle. You know, OC again, that's not the cure-all. It's not the end-all. Neither is the taser. You know, you have to remember the tools you have on your belt. I've spoke on this before, the tools you have on your belt. You know, I'm kind of an old school cop. I still carry a baton. When I do carry the taser, I still have OC with me. I make sure that I have all of that in addition to deadly force. I would hate to be in a situation, I was talking to a young officer a couple weeks ago who the only intermediate weapon he had was the taser. And I said, so basically if the taser doesn't work, you know, even if you're at a distance, you have to resort to deadly force. So, you know, you just have to have other options available. Having those tools on your belt gives you those options, and it gives you a degree of safety in using those options. Safety not only physically, but also safety through the courts. You know, if you explain to the courts that you utilize the physical options available to you to try to minimize harm to the other individual, that's a lot better than saying, well, I tased him, so the taser didn't work, so I shot him. Now, that's not what happened in this case in Tennessee. This woman actively resisted. She shot the officer first, and he returned fire. He did what he had to do to save his life and to stop other people from possibly being harmed in the process. So I'm not telling you if it comes to deadly force, not use deadly force. When it comes to using deadly force, I know if someone's pointing a gun at me, I'm not going to tell them 5 or 6 times to drop the gun. I'm going to yell, drop the gun, but I'm probably going to be shooting at the same time. That's my philosophy. That's not what I'm encouraging you to do, but that's what I intend to do. What I do encourage you to do, though, is to go home alive at the end of your shift. I encourage you to obey the law. I encourage you to use the amount of force necessary to stop a situation. I encourage you to use common sense and to go home safely at the end of every shift. Until next time, this is Keith Hellig, Cops Corrections Videos. Stay safe and watch your back.